Hello, everybody. We're so glad that you've joined us today. You've got this group here with Beyond the Briefcase. Yes, we are here because we are talking about what do we do as we prepare for retirement or as we're in retirement. How is it that we keep that complete life that we had before that we want now? What do we have to do in our lives? And I'm Sherry Knight. I am one of your co-hosts today, but we also have with us Barbara. Barbara's the one that makes sure that all of this techie stuff goes right because it's beyond me. That's the reality. And our guest. Our guest is our co-host as well today, and that is Regina Bergman. And Regina is the CEO. I said that wrong, didn't I, Regina? She is of the CEO Holy Grail. So one of the co-founders. Yeah, I get mixed up at periodic times. So anyway, welcome, Regina. So glad to have you with us. Thank you for being here today. Oh, dear.
Thank you.
So this whole thing about where do we go and what do we do? So often it's those friendships that make a difference for us. And of course, Barbara and I over the years have become really good friends. The same with Regina. Now, I've never met Barbara in person, never, just here online. But Regina, we've had the privilege of being together many years ago in one place, Kananaskis, Alberta, Canada. Yay! So that was a great fun. But those friendships are what makes a difference in our lives. Think about it. When you leave work, you leave all the people that you have a constant 5 day a week, or maybe more, depending on how you work, opportunity to get together with people. And it's not happening right now. So those kinds of things are making a difference for us. But we all have lives. So Barbara, tell us about your life and what it is that you bring to Beyond the Briefcase.
Well, one of the things with my pretty much my story started after my husband passed away. Mm-hmm. And it was in that moment that I realized that, okay, he's gone. I'm still here. What am I going to do? I was 61 years old and like, oh, yike, what's next? Mm-hmm. And I had no idea. And it was in that moment also that I realized that I had no idea of who I was, outside of all the labels and the society that society had put on me that I willingly took on, being a wife and mother and all those things. And we willingly take them on and then realize that's not really who we are. That's the label. Yeah. Not who we are. Mm-hmm. And when I woke up to that fact, it was like, oh, yike. How many other people are feeling this way? Men and women. But then, things happen and things change and you start growing and moving and doing things. And then all of a sudden it's like, Barbara, you need to work with, I started hearing stories of, unfortunately, of men who were checking out. They've now retired. They've given up their job. They've given up the corner office or whatever that is. And they're checking out into drugs, alcohol, or they're dying.
Scary.
And isn't that scary? And then you start researching things of why is this happening? And then, of course, one of the statistics that I share is that 87% of people don't like what they're doing. They don't like going to work. Well, is that going to tell a toll on you? Absolutely. Yeah. And so that's why this subject now has just become, it's not just something that I do, it's the calling of my heart that I want to make a difference for those men out there that are, oh yeah, who am I without my job? Who am I going to be without my job? Am I going to be relevant? How am I going to pay for retirement?
Well, and Barbara, you and I have had this discussion before. Unfortunately, women are getting into the same mold as the men. And that's because in the last, 35, 40 years, we have become more of sometimes the breadwinner even in a home. And we have started equating our lives to the title that we have on the door, right? Yeah. We're not looking at it so much anymore as mom, grandma, wife, care of children, etc. We're not looking at ourselves that way. Now we're beginning to look at ourselves as my business personality. Right. And that's really scary.
Right. Very scary. That's why one of the reasons like all of us became friends. I mean, Regina started this all.
It's all my fault.
It's all your fault. But she was the one that was really impactful in my life of realizing what you just said.
Mhm.
She was like, "Barb," and she'll tell you the story of when she first met me. And that was like, "Oh, yeah."
Yeah. You are not the person you were when I first met you at
Ah,
all.
neat.
Yeah. I can remember she invited me to a meeting online.
Yeah.
And I went to this, I don't even remember what it was at this point,
It
but
was some kind of an event, a networking
some
event or
kind of
something.
networking event or something. And she was sitting in a chair, like a wingback chair or something. I can remember you were sitting in a chair, and you just had this look on your face of, I don't know who I am. I am lost. Yeah, I can remember that clearly. I can still see you in my mind's eye sitting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's bad. Oh dear.
And now I am so grateful.
We
That's
started on a
grateful.
journey, didn't
We
we?
started the journey. Yeah.
Well,
And what I did was I signed up for Regina's one of her boot camps.
Yeah,
mhm.
yeah.
Let me tell you, that was
And then she came back
interesting. And then I
for
came
another
back,
one and
and
another
then I
one.
came back. Ooh, how many have I done? How many did
I
I
don't know.
actually
It was a
do?
bunch.
At least 5 or 6.
I think so.
And every time I grew. And that's the
Every time.
key to this.
That's such an important point because, if we think of us as a vessel, there's only so much we can hold at a moment, right? If you've got
Right.
a pot or a pan or a bowl and you're filling it up, it can only hold so much and then it overflows and that goes down the drain. And it was the same thing for you, Barb, in those boot camps. There was a certain amount that you could absorb, and the rest was just washed away. And then you came back the next time with that new foundation of what you had learned, and you were able to absorb more, but the rest washed away after, once, and you did that until you had it all.
And Barbara is human like the rest of us because that's exactly what we all do. There
That's
comes
what we all do.
a limit to what we can take in. Mine's
Yeah.
technology. I'm admitting this out loud. That's pretty scary.
Yeah. I'm going to tell on Sherry for a second.
Okay.
One of my favorite stories that Sherry told me was that when she was like, she had this whole team doing all her tech stuff with her, and they were saying, and they were giving her a hard time about that she couldn't get this tech stuff, and so she didn't say anything because she's kind.
She is.
But didn't say anything. And I guess finally the final straw, she said, I stood up in front of the meeting and said, okay, which one of you can stand up here for 10 minutes, unrehearsed, with 2 seconds, like with what? A 5-minute window of preparation, and do a 2-hour talk.
Yeah.
For 800 people.
I forgot that part.
For 800 people.
And they went, oh yeah, never said another word. I went, that is called standing your ground for what you do and why you do it.
Yeah.
And so many people, that's one of the things that I really love to work with people when they get to the point where, okay, yeah, I need to stand my ground, but what ground do I need to stand on? And they don't know. And that's where coaching comes in. And that's where we can find out who they are. What do they want to do?
Yeah.
So what ground do they want to stand on? Because once they have that, that's their foundation. And then they can go anywhere.
And we know that Regina has that foundation. So tell us, Regina, tell us more about you.
Well, first I have to say, Sherry, a couple of things in that introduction. Thank you for that introduction, by the way. So I am CEO still of Bridgeport Strategy, but co-founder of the CEO Holy Grail. And you and I actually met first in Las Vegas in 2016. And then we came together again in Canada after that. So
you're right. I forget that all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was so cool.
And I was on my honeymoon pretty much. I hadn't been married very long.
Oh dear, that's wonderful. You have a great memory. Wow.
Yeah. I remember some things in my life. I have been an entrepreneur as long as I can remember, from childhood. From babysitting and cleaning houses to doing March of Dimes, knocking on doors, collecting money for March of Dimes as a child, as a young teen. Well, as a child, actually on the babysitting and the housekeeping. I remember one time I actually babysat some kids that were older than me.
Wow, that's a new one.
Okay.
That was a new one. Yeah, I was like, really? Okay, I can do this. But I remember back in probably my 20s or 30s, that was a day or two ago, folks. I remember realizing that my purpose in life was to help others achieve their potential.
Yeah.
I can remember where I was when that came to me. I actually was in a park close to my home, and I remember that just came to me so loud and clear that that was my purpose, is to help others achieve their potential. And so everything that I have done since that point of time has some element of helping others achieve their potential. I was in Mary Kay Cosmetics for a number of years. I was a senior sales director with Mary Kay. That was helping women achieve their potential, gain self-confidence, learn how to be comfortable with who they are, learn how to make themselves more attractive if that's what they wanted, or take care of themselves in ways they hadn't before. But those opportunities just to help them grow, even that was fulfilling that. And then I had several other things after that. But then back in the 90s, I started a staffing firm with a business partner. And we started in a town that knew nothing about staffing. I mean, literally, the only people who knew what a staffing company was in that small town were those who'd been transferred in by a big company. And so a few folks in the oil and gas industry kind of knew what staffing was, but nobody else did. And we grew that to encompass 6 different communities in 2 states. We were doing about 5 million in revenue when the financial crash of 2008 hit.
Yeah.
So by March of 2009, I had to close my doors and reinvent myself again. I took the next 2 years off from business and just served in my community through my church and through other community organizations, served in my community and just helped people. And then I was ready to get back on the horse again. My husband and I, when we had moved to this small community, he was in oil and gas. And when we had moved to this small community, he said, now, just so you know, this is not where I want to retire. I'm like, okay, great. We're nowhere near that part of the game. 18 and a half years later, he said, just so you know, this is still not where I want to retire. I'm like, okay, we're still not there yet, but where do you want to retire? And he'd always thought he wanted to be on a mountain lake somewhere. Well, as we were maturing, we kind of talked about the mountain part and decided maybe we needed to leave that part out of the equation. Lake, okay, mountain, no. And so we decided we wanted to stay in Texas, which is where we were at the time, up in the northern part. We decided we wanted to stay here in Texas. So we began a search of lakes in Texas and just looking. We still weren't ready for retirement, but he had a lot of vacations stacked up. So we said, well, let's just take 30 days and let's go look at these lakes. So we made appointments with realtors on all of these lakes to have them show us some properties. The third lake we looked at, we fell in love with this gorgeous 2-story home, brick home on the lake, on the deep end of the lake. And he really wanted this home. And I said, the only way I can justify it, because it was just the 2 of us and it was a 3,800 square foot home. I said, the only way I can justify that is if we can put a bed and breakfast in it. He agreed. And that was the beginning of my bed and breakfast career. And now you have to realize too, he was in the oil field and he worked 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. So half of every month it was just me there, and so it was my bed and breakfast. I ran that bed and breakfast and he came and visited every 2 weeks. And then he passed away in August of 2014. And just before he passed, a few months before, an opportunity came across my desk to take a coaching course to become a coach. And I was
Mhm.
intrigued, but I thought, this is not, it's not the right timing. And after he passed, it came across my desk again. And so I said, okay, let's explore this, you know. And so I did. I took the course, started my coaching business, Bridgeport Strategy, in January of 2015. And we've been going strong ever since. And then
Mhm.
a year ago, partnered up with Dr. Asha Mankowska to create the CEO Holy Grail, where we serve mid-level clients who want more profitability, want to grow their business, want to create an exit plan. The business is stuck, you know, whatever that is. And we work from the CEO on down through their organization to get everything in place for them to achieve those goals. That's a
So
little bit about me, ladies.
it is. And here's the thing for our listeners. The important part is there are things in our lives that make us pivot. That's an old
Pivot.
word right now. Everybody's using it,
Absolutely.
but makes us change
Yeah.
direction, and not necessarily negative, not necessarily positive. It's just a
It's just
change.
change. Yeah.
Exactly.
Change.
And when I go back in my life, I started my first business when I was 10. Why?
There you go.
Because Christmas was coming and there was no money. Our
Yeah.
household didn't have such money to give me money to buy Christmas presents. So at the age of 10, I'm looking and going, all right, what can I do? Too young to babysit. I do not like being out in the cold. So shoveling snow for neighbors was
Was not
not
it.
an option. And so I saw this little wee ad, probably in a comic book, I don't remember, about selling Regal stationery door to door. And so I
Ah,
started doing that. And I did that for several years, actually, right up until I was in university. And that aspect, of course, taught me things about business. You know, you have to send money before sometimes you get paid, right?
right, right.
The
Yeah.
starting goal was you had to send $50. Well, we didn't have any money. So my dad took me by the hand down to the local bank, and I got my first bank loan that was co-signed by my father at the age of 10 years of age. I wish
I
I
love
could
it.
say I had never had to do that afterwards, but you know, life happens, etc. But that whole aspect of I needed something to buy Christmas presents. What's
Right.
your need out there? Everybody
Right.
has a reason to make adjustments in their lives. And over
Right.
the years, I mean, like the three of us here, you've had to make adjustments in your life. And so
Absolutely.
when we think about what's happening today, if you are retired or if you're wanting to retire, that's maybe you made the decision. Maybe somebody made the decision for you that you are going to retire. But the reality is, now what?
Right.
Now what is
What's
really
next?
critical? You bet. And where
What's
do we go from here? So
Yeah.
I want to open it up to both Barbara and Regina. Maybe Regina, you want to go first with this.
But yeah,
What
I would love to.
do?
I'd love to comment on something Barb said a little bit ago too about that, and you may have also said it, Cherry. But that is that when we don't have a path forward for after that retirement, one of the things that I've seen over and over in my years in the business world is that people die.
Right.
They've lost their purpose. They have no purpose in life.
Yeah.
And, you know, so it's important that we become, before we hit that place, I think it's important that we become more well-rounded, that we have other things in our lives and we figure out what our purpose is so that when the job goes away, the purpose is still there and we're able to continue on just a new path to that purpose.
You're
Right.
so right, because now this is an old stat and I haven't been able to find anything new, but exactly what Regina's saying. And that is, on average, the average person lives 18 paychecks after retirement.
After retirement,
Like
because
that
they
is
don't have
great.
anything to replace it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's critical.
Yeah.
Right. You know, and I'm part of a statistic, and can see both sides of it. My dad and his best friend, they started at they started at the company on the same day and they retired on the same day.
Oh, wow.
Wow. That's
And
amazing.
they were together 35 years. 35
Yeah.
years they worked together. They went to work every day. They came home
Yeah.
sometimes we even went on vacation with them.
Neat.
That's how close our families were. Anyways, Daddy retired. Mo retired. Mo lasted 6 months.
Wow.
My dad lived to be 102.
Mhm.
Wow.
The thing is, I think the difference is that he had a goal and he had a purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think I've shared you with one of his goals was to get his letter from the Queen of England that he was 100 years old. That was one of
Wow.
his goals. The other goal was that he wanted to be retired longer than he worked.
Wonderful.
And those things, that power of that goal and of having that, and then Regina, absolutely what your purpose is. The thing is, so many people, and this was me to a T before I met Regina. This was me to a T. I thought my purpose was something out here. Oh, I'm fine. I've got to find my purpose. I've got to look for my purpose. What's my purpose? Never realizing that it's in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I sat back and said, okay, what is my purpose? Well, then I realized it was so simple. It's like my purpose is to serve God, to learn things, and then teach others, to teach other people the things that I have learned.
Yeah.
Makes total sense.
Duh. That's simple. And once I got that connection that your purpose is something in here, it's not up here. It's not
Yeah.
out there. It's in here.
But you can take it and put it out there.
Exactly. Because
Yeah.
then you take it and you put it out there. Like so many people have said to me, oh, Barb, you are so patient.
You are. You are.
I love to teach. Love
Yeah.
to teach.
And Barb, the work that you're doing is so important because you're reaching these people before they hit that retirement
they
date, ideally,
Yeah.
so that you can help them with that pivot, so you can help them figure out what that is in their life, that purpose, that passion, so that they look forward to that day that they retire,
They
so that
retire.
they can pursue, put more time and effort into that passion and that purpose.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
that's
very
important work.
true. Very true. And if you look at my company name, Dimension 11, I came up with that in the Vancouver airport when I was starting my company. But the various dimensions of the human being, and in my mind, the infinity of the number one, and the infinity of the human being to develop to their full potential.
Yeah.
And that's critical because sometimes we can't develop that in the workplace.
Yeah,
So what are we doing beyond the workplace? And that can be while you're still working.
Right.
But it can be exactly what you two are saying. It can be after retirement.
Yeah.
What is it that I love to do? And you talked earlier about people not, 87% of people don't like to go to work. It's because they're working in things they don't have a passion for. Duh.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I love that. I think it's Simon Sinek that says that, if you don't like what you're doing, it's called stress.
Yeah.
But if you love what you're doing, it's called passion.
There you go.
There it is in a nutshell.
Very true.
I love what I do. I love that moment when I see the light bulb or I hear the light bulb go on.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's nothing like that because then they've started the journey. You might, and for some of the people, all I heard was that moment, and they've gone elsewhere to start the journey because I wasn't the one for them, but it started the journey.
It started the journey. You've made a difference in their life.
Made a difference.
You bet. Yeah. And so what can we talk about here, ladies? Because we are ladies today. What can we talk about that's going to help these people who are listening to get moving? To think about other things other than, oh my gosh, I'm going to retire. How wonderful. Or I am retired. How wonderful. But
I tend to ask them, like, what did you like to do as a kid? What prompted you? What did you ever say? Well, and lots of times they'll say, well, as a kid, like one of my guys, his name was Alec, and he said, you know what, Barb, as a kid, I always thought I would want to work with dolphins. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, great. I said, so in the next 2 weeks, what is one step that That's all I'm
There you
asking
go.
you. I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not asking you to change your life, but what's one step that you could move that needle so that you're going this way
Mm-hmm.
towards that? And he went, well, I guess I could look at my local university and see if they have anything on marine biology. Great.
Very nice.
Oh, ladies, he came back 2 weeks later. He was a changed man
I love it. I love it.
because it was like, it was like I had given him permission to dream again. So if there is something, and I don't care how impossible you think it is, take one step towards it, because you know what? When you take that first step towards what you think is impossible, the universe hears you
Oh,
and
yeah.
says, you've taken that one step. Oh, let me help you with the next one.
Very true. Very true.
And
Oh,
that's the key to it. Take that first step.
first step. Good one. Good one.
And
Regina.
the first step might actually be just figuring out, like you asked him, Barb, what it
Right.
was. That
What it
first
was.
step may just be figuring it out. What is that I'm passionate about or that I'd love to pursue? And then,
Yep.
Sherry, something that you do very well and you teach about is creating vision boards.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And creating a vision board around that. You know, next year is our 10th wedding anniversary. You know, I remarried after my husband passed, and so next year is our 10th wedding anniversary. And so I've started asking my husband, because you know that this is not his strong suit. This dreaming of what's out there, that's not his strong suit. So I started saying, okay, if you could have anything you want, what do you want to do for our 10th anniversary? You know, where would you want to go? What would you want to do? You know, just to start that dreaming process.
Right.
That being able to envision that this could happen, you know, and to feel the excitement around it now, which helps propel you forward.
Right. Yeah.
Very.
It's not about the destination.
Yeah.
It's about the journey.
It's about the journey.
And enjoying the journey.
Exactly.
It's
one step.
very important that we enjoy the journey. Life is too short.
Yeah.
Not
Amen.
everybody gets to be 101, and to be that is wonderful. But regardless of whether it's 60 or 70 or 80, doesn't matter. It matters that you enjoy the time that you've got.
Exactly.
You bet.
Yeah.
You bet.
And that you make a difference if at all possible.
Right.
Whether that's just in one life or that's in multiple lives,
Mm-hmm.
but that you make a difference, that your being here counted.
Right.
It
Your life
made
mattered.
a difference for someone. Your life mattered. It made a difference. Yeah.
Well, and that's true. And you two are both involved in something, as am I, called People for People, trying to make a difference in the world.
Yep.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And that can make a big difference. So who wants to tell me a little bit more about it?
Well, Regina was started it, so you were the start of it all. So I'm going to let you start.
That was an easy out, Barb.
That was an easy. Yeah.
So People for People is a group that I'm very pleased to be a part of.
Yeah.
It was started by Jennifer Bond. She's our founder. And Jennifer's been doing this work for about 10 years. She started about 10 years ago. Her husband was in the dental industry, and she started by helping him grow his business. And that worked so well that she said, maybe I can help other dentists grow their businesses. And so she started this network kind of a program to work with dentists. And it has evolved to now we actually are working in communities. All members of the community are welcome to it. We bring in businesses, local businesses, and local community members so they can support one another, so that when hard times are here, we have a network, we have places we can shop and get the things that we need. Our businesses have local clients. We are expanding across the United States right now. We're in a very big launch at the moment, or relaunch of taking this across the US. By the end of this year, we'll have over 1,600 community organizations in the United States and then we'll be moving internationally after that. But
But
it's a great way to get involved in your community and help your community.
Right.
Sherry, go ahead.
but there is an opportunity for people who aren't in the United States with
Yes, there is.
another aspect of the community. Do you want to address
is
that one,
correct.
Barb?
Just, you know what? We're looking for people internationally. So, and as long as somebody, if like with me, one of my goals is I want to go to Australia. So why not, why not have people help me get there? Because we'll
There you
have
go.
a community in. The thing is, as long as they can do business in the U.S. right now, it's open. They can do it, and we are.
They don't have to be in business, do they?
No, but
No.
but they have to be able to do. They have to have a bank account that they have to have a banking.
If they wish to be a paid leader in the
If they wish to be a
organization.
paid
Yeah.
leader.
Yeah. There are leadership opportunities, and we are searching for leaders right now all over the country.
That
There are
are
lots of
business
leadership
or not business.
or not business, does
But
not
they-
matter.
Right.
And we
but they can-
compensate you for being a leader.
Right.
There's a compensation plan for that,
For that.
which
Because-
is very lucrative, actually, depending upon the level of leadership that you assume.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
think one of the things that I like about it is that I truly believe that the world is getting smaller, not physically, but the community is getting smaller, and we can do so much more together than we ever can on our own.
Yeah.
And we want to just save the supply chain. I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world right now. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
You know, and I think because of some of the stuff that has been going on, I think we have realized that more and more that we need to take some steps for ourselves. But
Yeah.
right now, I mean, Sherry's in Canada. I've got a couple of people in Canada myself, and it's so exciting that they're going to be able to see these leadership roles go up,
Yeah.
and then as we go international, we're looking for people in those countries. So
Right.
why not come get trained now here in the US? Get trained. It doesn't, but then once we open in the other countries, you're set to go because you're
Yes.
already trained.
So
Yeah.
for those who are looking for something else to do and to develop the passion, then this might be another opportunity for people to consider.
Yeah.
So-
And some of the skill sets that we have
Yeah.
that we've developed over the years in our businesses, in our jobs, play nicely into this organization because we teach workshops, we do
Right.
podcasts, we network differently than networking is done anywhere else that I know of. But in our networking, we are really building you up,
Right.
and so, but there's those opportunities to use those skills that you've developed over the years
Right.
in some of the leadership positions.
And
And
sometimes
that's how I started. I started out doing because I said, "Ooh, I want to do a podcast," and so I did. That's how I started.
And you were
No,
doing
I
workshops
started-
in the beginning
and then
too.
I think the very first, it was workshops, and then we progressed to podcasts.
Yeah, the podcast. Yeah.
And wow, it has been such a blessing to be able to teach a workshop on, like for me, on personal development. Get yourself ready for your next chapter. I mean,
And
right now, so many people are burnt out, unhappy, and they have no idea what to do about it. So let's make your next chapter, unlimited wellness. And all of that unlimited wellness for me is your personal, your happiness, your health, your financial security. Because if you don't have those
not
things,
just being in business to do
not
that.
just being in business to do that.
Mhm. Whatever your background is, you
Yeah.
now deserve the opportunity to look at yourself and make a decision about what the next, Barbara used the word, what's the next chapter.
What's
Next
your-
chapter. I love that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Our life is a book.
Excellent.
Yeah, our
What do you
life
want
is-
that next chapter to be? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
And
we
just
all
as
get
you have a
to-
blank canvas,
exactly.
you have a blank
Exactly.
canvas to paint that next chapter on.
Yeah. And one thing Sherry said, sometimes just how do you get people to start? Okay. What do people tell you all the time that you are so good at? What do other people tell you that you are good at?
Yeah.
You know what? If you're good at it, That means there's somebody else out there that is not and want to learn.
Good way to put it.
Get
Mhm.
Very good.
yourself out there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Get yourself out there. Let people know what you do and what you're passionate about.
Right.
And one of the things that I think is really important for us to think about, and that is oftentimes we stay up too late, we watch TV, we sleep in. Start going to bed at that regular time earlier so that when you awake earlier, you are refreshed and you are ready to go and work on whatever that passion happens to be. And that's one of the things that I think these people who often die within the 18 paychecks, those are the individuals who don't have the purpose and therefore watch the idiot box or the internet or whatever until the wee hours of the morning and
Yep.
then don't get up until whatever, maybe noon, and
Yep.
half the day is already gone.
It's amazing what you can do when you put that structure in, you know. And I used to be guilty of staying up late that way, and I developed a health condition
Ooh,
that I am benefited by going to bed by 10 o'clock every night. If I want to function well the next day, I need to get a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
And so it's my bedtime. You know, as old as I am, I have a bedtime. My bedtime's 10 o'clock.
Yeah. And
And I'm
get
up
in
at 5
touch with
o'clock
that.
on weekdays, and sometimes a little earlier if I get to bed earlier. Sometimes I get
Yeah.
up earlier. So by
Yeah.
a lot of the time, a lot of folks are getting up. I've already put in 4 or 5 hours.
You and me both.
yeah,
That's my quiet time where
Yeah.
I can just be with me and
Yeah.
find out about what I want.
right.
What do
Yeah.
I want today? How do I want today to progress?
Yeah.
How do
You get
I
to
want
set
it
the
to
tone.
progress?
You get to set the tone for that
I get
day.
to set the tone.
Yeah. You're in
I
charge.
just and okay, this is for somebody. Don't look at your phone for the first hour that you are awake.
Exactly.
Do
Exactly.
not look at your
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah, it's a rabbit hole.
So important. Do not
Yeah.
look at your phone.
I do my best not to look at my phone other than to shut off the alarm until after
Yeah.
I have read my
Yeah.
scriptures, written in my journal,
Yeah.
had my prayer. Then I can look at my phone
Yeah.
because then I don't go down the rabbit hole and
Yeah.
lose out on one of those 3 things that I
I
need to
do
do.
read my Bible on my phone. Yes, but
Okay.
don't use
Yeah.
your phone.
Don't use your phone. Yeah.
Don't check your
Don't
messages.
check.
Don't
Yeah.
check your email.
Exactly.
Do not look at your texts.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Just that one thing that you've got to
Your
use it
one
for.
thing. I read
Yeah.
my scriptures on my phone.
Yeah. I read a physical scripture, so
Well, I do
so I
that
don't
too,
have
but
that issue.
I
But
do that
yeah.
too.
But and it's a conscious choice,
It's a
folks.
it's a
You
conscious.
have
It's a
to
choice.
make the choice and make the decision, and you have to know you're going to slip now and then and do something that was not part of your plan, and you just get back on that horse again and start over, right?
Yeah.
You just keep going, and
Sometimes life
we all
happens
fall
to you,
off every now
and
and then,
and sometimes people knock you off.
and sometimes people knock you off.
Sometimes you get knocked
Very
off.
true. Very true. But
Absolutely.
one of the ways to getting into that too, and we haven't discussed this at all yet this morning, but is the whole concept of exercise. And the older we get, perhaps the more important it is. But I just heard a new stat just this week, actually, on the radio. And it was, we've all talked about, oh, you need 10,000 steps a day. Not
Not
quite
happening.
days.
Not happening.
But they're saying now, wrong stat. Now they're saying reality is 7,000 steps a day, which is perhaps more reasonable
bit more
for some
doable.
people
Right. Right.
and more doable. It doesn't, in my head, it doesn't matter how many steps a day. What matters is what we've said before, the intention and getting out there and doing what you can.
Right. Right.
Right. Like with me, I work.
But
One
some
of the
of us
things that
can't
I
do
share
that.
with people, I work online. However, I do have an alarm. So, and here's tripod. I have an alarm. I set, like, I will work by my alarm. I'll do an hour of work, and then Barbara, you're standing up for 20 minutes. And
Yeah.
so I set a 20-minute alarm. And at that 20-minute alarm, I can sit back down again and do something else or whatever, but I have to be standing for at least that 20
Right.
minutes.
Cool.
It is amazing how much better I feel now that I have implemented that and I'm consistent with it. It doesn't
Yeah.
always happen. No, absolutely. Because sometimes, Regina takes us from Zoom to Zoom to Zoom. Yeah, I'm going to blame it all on Regina.
Me,
Little me.
little me.
But
Oh, dear.
but it does help immensely.
Yeah.
Get
And if you're
into
not
a
capable,
routine.
if you cannot do that, some
Yeah,
of us
some
have
people can't.
physical issues that don't
Yeah,
allow us to do that.
exactly.
But I'm case in point, I can get up and just kind of walk around the house and come back.
Yep. And come back.
You get up and move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stand up and stretch.
Well,
Yeah.
and
You only stand up and stretch.
yeah, what works for you, and it's different things for
Exactly.
different
Everything's
people.
right.
Exactly.
I enjoy walking. I am not a runner. I never have been, and I never want to be.
Nope.
For
Not
me,
your passion?
it's not. No. But at the same token, I know I like to walk, but if I can't walk during the heat of the day.
No.
So consequently, in order to fit that into my lifestyle, I walk early in the morning. Not every day,
Right.
but the days that I can. If it's snowing out, if it's raining out, if it's dull out, Carrie doesn't walk. But if it's nice out, I get up in the morning and I go for a walk. Sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's half, sometimes it's 20 minutes, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's 15 minutes. But
Right.
you have to figure out what works for you
Right.
and
Exactly.
then do that. And that's what we're saying. Just think about your purpose. We've just talked about that.
Yep.
Think about how you are going to create that purpose and what it means for you. And like you said, Regina, there are some people who can't physically walk. That's
Right.
okay. What can you do
What
to
can you
help
do?
yourself exercise?
Yeah.
There's
In
chair
some-
yoga.
Mhm.
One
Yep.
day I said, well, I'm gonna, this can't be that. Chair yoga is a workout. It's
I've
a
never
workout.
been. Okay.
And because people have realized that people do have limitations. Okay, so let's cater to them. And then talk about a purpose. Well, that was and I can't remember what her name was. She said, well, she said, I saw my mom, and she said, I was a physical therapist. And she said, I saw my mom struggling. So she said, and then of course her mom was like, well, gee, so my so-and-so and my so-and-so and my so-and-so and my so-and-so. Well, all of a sudden she had a thriving that and then what the funny part was is that when they did this big shutdown that they thought that they were going to destroy everybody, she went online. Her business is bigger now doing the exercises online than it ever was beforehand.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And of course, with that, we don't have to leave our own home in order to do something, which is wonderful if you choose not to have that audience that sees all the bulges, et cetera, et cetera. Right?
Yes. Exactly.
Our lovely imperfections.
I live near Chicago. Sherry is in Regina, Saskatchewan. Regina's in Texas.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
doesn't matter anymore.
Our best friends.
Yeah.
Here we are together.
And Barb, you and I have been together since when? I can't even remember when that was.
It must be.
But
we've
never been in the same
but we've never been in the same spot. No.
My new business partner, Asha, and I have never been in the same physical space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
you
we
and Brad were together. You and Brad was still.
Yeah. Brad had worked for me in my physical business, my staffing company. He had run one of my departments in my staffing company. Yeah.
So
he and I had that.
This idea of the internet, which everybody's talking now today about AI, and I understand that AI really became feasible about 1950, somewhere in the 50s. Yeah, but I'm just hearing about it.
Right.
It takes time, but the advent of the internet is what has really helped the world. And yes, there's bad things on the internet. There's no question.
Sure.
That aspect about making life different. It's helped.
Right.
And
Regina did an event wasn't it Nigeria?
I did. I did
Yeah.
do an event in Nigeria.
I'm
Yeah, I did
I'm
one
going
in
to be doing one
France.
in September in Uganda.
Yeah,
Fabulous, fabulous.
yeah.
Regina, you were going to say something.
I was, and I don't remember what it was.
I
Sorry,
that
Regina.
happens
We
periodically.
had to have at least one of those, right?
But you know, we were so proud of her. We were like, wow, you did an event in Nigeria.
I know what it was. I was going to say, as bad as the pandemic was,
Yes.
it made the world smaller.
Smaller.
We connected with people in the world that we never would have connected with before had we not gone through that period of time.
You
Yeah.
bet.
As bad as things were, there were some good things that came out of that period of time.
Very
And
true.
yeah.
Well, as we wrap up this morning, what wonderful little tidbits have you got for us, you two, to help us have a better day, a better life, and go beyond the briefcase? Regina, your turn.
All right. You know, we talked a few minutes ago about routine in your bedtime and your getting up time. And I'd just like to add to that have have a sense of joy about the day, a sense of excitement, of anticipation. What's going to come my way today?
Right.
And eh, I think if you can get that mindset, it will carry you so far. You will see things you would never have seen if you didn't have that anticipation for things.
Right.
Because otherwise we're closed off and we just don't see possibilities out there. And when you open your mind to the possibilities and you're excited about them, they will come to you and you will see them in ways you've never seen them before.
Very, very true. And Barbara, you're going to put something on the bottom there so that people can see how to connect with Regina.
And I was so enthralled with the conversation and just totally.
See, that's my job.
That's your job.
Good job.
Keep me on track.
Good job.
But, oh dear, it's very true, Regina. And so if people are interested in chatting with you, this is how you can get a hold of Regina. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Barbara.
Here's mine. Yeah, I think one of the biggest things, what Regina just said, is absolutely, absolutely essential. And the next little part of that same thing is that when you do notice something, celebrate it.
Amen.
Have fun. Take that one thing,
Yeah.
do one of those things and have fun with it.
Yes.
And then oh, I just did that. And I don't care what you do. I don't care whether you pat yourself on the back. I do a happy dance. You can do a happy dance anywhere. You can be sitting in a chair. You can be standing up. Celebrate that one thing. Celebrate that one. Maybe it's a physical thing that you've done. Maybe it's a mental shift that you did. But celebrate it and look yourself in. And this is a biggie. Look yourself in the mirror and say, oh, I am so proud of you that you just made that shift, or you just did that, or you just whatever that was. Congratulate yourself.
Yeah.
I don't care where you go in life. You can't get away from you. So you may as well like you.
Good point. Good point.
Cannot get away from you.
I love it.
You can. I love this. One day, one of my ladies that I talked to, and she's like, no, she said, yeah, I went to college and then I moved and then I moved and then I moved and then I moved and realized, yeah, I still had me. You still have you.
You still have you. Wherever you go, there you are, right?
There you are. And God made you perfectly. So just celebrate that and find that one thing that, hey, you know what? I don't care what it is. I have great eyes, or I like my hair, or, I like my lips, or I like my nails. Doesn't matter what that thing is. Or I like the way I smile, or I like the way that I can talk to people easily. Doesn't matter what that thing is, but just celebrate it within yourself.
Yeah. Very true. And I want to pick up on what you're saying there, Barb, because yes, celebration is so important. But here's the thing that most of us don't think about. when we do celebrate, yeah, the high five or the, let's have a glass of wine or let's have a cup of coffee or let's have a, glass of water, whatever. But we also want to think about when we're celebrating and setting a goal to actually achieve something.
Yes.
Think about all the things that we heard about, and this comes from journalism, but the who, what, where, when, and why.
Right.
Who are you going to celebrate with?
Mm.
What are you going to celebrate doing? Are you going bowling? Are you going out for a nice dinner? Are you going to walk around the lake? So who, what, the where? Where is this going to happen? Is it in a canoe? Is it, in the water? Is it at a place where you always wanted to go, someplace around the world? So the who, what, where. Now the when. When is this going to happen? Because when you set a goal, you want to give yourself a timeline for that goal. And then the how. Think about what it is that you are actually doing there. I love to eat. So often my goal is I'm going to a particular restaurant and I visualize what it is that I am going to be eating. Who's going to be sitting at the table?
Right.
What's the table decor look like? Has it got crystal? Has it got cutlery? Has it got paper napkins? Like, I don't know what's important to you, but visualize all those things that go with the whole goal. Barbara's talking about, yes, the little goals.
Right.
And we want those little goals all the way along. But what's the big final goal? And how are you going to know when you get there? That's an important part too.
Yeah.
How are you going to know when you get there? Regina often talks about, think higher, think more globally. Those are key things for us because, it's okay if we fail. That's not a problem.
Right.
But don't make the goal so tiny that, yes, you're going to get there in a nanosecond. That's no help. Think about your growth. That's the important
Your growth.
You betcha.
Yeah. And celebrate each step of that growth.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what's important. Right. And so you've had a great time listening to us ramble on with Regina because she is one of those point persons and she makes us really stop and think. So thank you all for joining us Beyond the Briefcase. But here's the thing where you want to go now. You have 3 addresses here to connect with individuals. But if you are interested in being a co-host on our show, we would love to have you. So please either get in touch with Sherry or Regina. No, sorry. Sherry or Barb, because we are the hosts of Beyond the Briefcase. Have a wonderful day. Here in Canada, it is a long weekend. So if it's a long weekend for you or just any regular weekend, have fun. Enjoy your passions. Love you all. Bye for now.
And one of the things for me is if you are interested in our People for People community, reach out to one of us and we will give you some details. Yeah. It might be for you, it might not be, but you don't reach out. So everybody have an awesome day. It was great to have you and come again soon. And so we'll talk to you soon. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.